Welcome home, all. I was on a 2-week hiatus, a hiatus, meaning I was elsewhere, elsewhen. So the last show we did was a couple weeks ago on a Friday, and then I believe we re-aired a prior show for this past Friday night, and I'm back because we have some things left over from the end of this past year, and as I mentioned at that very last show, from the past decade. So we've got the 10s to wrap up. We're almost done with everything that I wanted to do for 2019. I mean, and what does it really matter? Say we're in January, as long as I get it done by this month, we're all good. So I've got a series of one-off, standalone specials, if you will, on particular topics having to do with 2019, and then comprehensively the decade of the 2010s. And so I have put a lot of work, time, energy, and effort in, and money. So team up, T-E-E-M. That's how Supermex teams up. Time, energy, effort, and money. So we've teamed up. And so I've got all those things coming for you over the next week or two as we finish up January and get into February. And as we do that, we've got a whole bunch of other things coming because I am going to do, more than likely going to do a special for the Grammys coming up. And then the Oscars are also coming up and right around the corner. So in keeping with that mentality and line of topic, tonight, very special cheap date night is going to be on the top 10 movies of the 2010s. In addition, I'm going to give you what I feel or what I believe are my favorite, if not, appreciated actors and actresses of the 2010s. So in that spirit, that group of the 2010s, I'm going to give you my actors and actresses that I really liked out of that time period and then going forward. So the 2010s tonight. And so up front, let me front load you. So tonight, if you're watching, you will be able to win a movie off of this list tonight for one lucky viewer. Now, I'm probably predicating that on somebody that hasn't won, but I've got some of the loyal, faithful followers that always watch, and I'm not going to say no to them either. But I'm really looking for someone new to watch tonight so I can give you something free. Because last I checked, free is good. Free is good. Provided it's not hurting someone else or coming from some bad place. But so I'm going to give a freebie out tonight. A movie off of the lists tonight will go out to one lucky viewer before this show's done. So this show's not going to be quick, and I'll tell you why. Because joining me tonight for our special cheap date night on Supermex's top 10 movies of the 2010s, I have a young, talented writer / director, actress, assassin, thespian, all of the above, but I'm going to let her tell you, my audience, a little bit more about herself, and she's going to be joining me tonight as we share our two lists, because I want you to get my information, but I do like getting other information. Ancora imparo. You never stop learning. Still, I am learning. So I always want to listen to somebody else's take or view or lists of items that maybe I didn't catch and maybe I need to go take a look at and go back and see. So that's what's going on tonight. It is cheap date night. You know what that means. You get the good-looking dude, you get a good-looking lady, and it's cheap date. So cheap date night, the top 10 movies of the 2010s. Okay, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring on, via remote, Liana Manibog. So Liana, tell us a little bit about, so your titles there, writer, director, KP calls you an assassin. I said thespian, actress, artist, instructor.
Give out my secret identity as an assassin like that. Make it harder, people know.
So give us a little bit about current background. So you're an instructor at a school. Go ahead and flesh that out for me.
Yeah, so wearing a couple different hats right now. I teach English literature and writing at the college level. That means I've done a lot of work with obviously writing, but also storytelling and understanding, I guess, kind of what pulls an audience in, which really helps with the other hat that I'm wearing, which is a production company that I have with a couple partners, where I'm writing, directing, and pulling together a couple different projects. Worked with KP on a couple of them this summer as well. So films, television, some of my passions for sure, because it directly relates to, well, both sides of what I do, because they deal with storytelling, right?
Right, right. So I like the, and I don't think I asked you that, the first time. You said English, but I don't think I caught, or maybe I didn't get specific, English lit. So
Right.
you have to write a lot, but you have to read a lot.
You have to read a lot.
What is that, by the way? What is read a lot? I'm being facetious.
How do you
I'm being facetious.
quantify that? Man, that's
Yeah.
hard.
You can't get people to sit down and read a book anymore, a 100-page book for that matter. And so, I'll let you know, because we didn't really discuss any of this, but, in some ways, the way I do my show and the things I do on the show are educative and designed with the express intent of getting people to, capture their imagination, so that maybe they go out and they explore and educate themselves a little bit more on what it is we're seeing here. So, for instance, tonight, we're going to go through some movies. Most of these movies that I'm going to guess you and I are going to go over tonight are from pieces of literature. They're from books, right? So that's kind of the hope, is that we get that. So English literature instructor and a million other hats. What's the university?
It's
What
called
school?
Snow College.
Say again?
Snow College. Snow College out in Utah.
Snow College
So
in
I'm-
Utah? Is it
So
4-year,
currently-
2-year?
This is a 2-year with a couple of 4-year programs.
So are you
If that
going to
makes
pursue and go further? Are you going to try to do more? You want to, do you have a doctorate or master's?
I have a master's.
You going to do the doctorate?
I'm all about the pursuit of knowledge. So eventually I could see that being something that I want to pursue.
Yeah.
However, I'm really invested in trying to continue to build out this production company that I'm working on right now, with a
Right.
couple of scripts and film projects that I'm trying to put together.
Right. Okay, good to go. It sounds like you have your hands all up in the business, which, by the way, is the reason you're here tonight, because I want to take advantage of another mind that has that as a background. Full disclosure on my end, I'm not a professional actor, director, any of the above. I'm a wannabe. I'm a wannabe. Later in life, I'm a wannabe in my second life. But I want that background and I want that knowledge, because I'm going to guess that we may, I'm interested again, I'm going to say it again before we get started. I'm interested to see if we have anything that is a duplicate, and maybe we've picked one or two of the same movies. But and here's the thing, I was thinking about this as we came over tonight. You know the old term, great minds think alike, right? Well, I like that. I like that. But at the same time, I don't want to live in a world where all great minds are thinking exactly alike. Follow?
Oh, totally. Well, no, I believe that completely. It's one of the things I tell my students all the time, is that I want to teach them how to think. But in teaching them how to think, I don't want them to think the way I do. I think there's strength in diversity, right?
Correct. So that's what I'm really, really interested on, what you and I do tonight, is to see where you went with it and where I went with it. But I'm going to do this also up front, full disclosure. As I was doing my list, or take that back, as I was completing my list, and then I'm going to ask you a question about this. As I was completing my list, and I kind of know this already, but I found that as I went through my list of 10, like, oh man, I'm hyper concerned with what my 10 movies of the last 10 years look like in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and whether they stand the test of time, because one instructed to another. I'm an old history teacher, and I find that I filter and view things through a prism that is based on, oh, it's good right now, but it cannot stand the test of time, and we'll never know about it because it was just another. So as I was looking through my list, I'm sitting here saying, like, yeah, I do that a lot. I want to make sure that I'm picking titles that are significant and that carry significance forward. And I've said this on, or I've said this for music, that a hit is a hit 20 years ago or 20 years in the future. A good, well-constructed lyric and music is a hit 20 years ago and is a hit 20 years forward. And I do feel the same about film and movies. The message, the communication of a thought or a concept has to be good 20 years ago or 20 years in the future. So that's kind of my list. And like I said, it wasn't even intentional, but I found that for myself, acknowledging what I do, I always end up doing that even when I don't know I'm doing it. So in your case, before we get started with the list, where do you think, like after you did 10 and went through your process, whatever that is, after you did your 10, how do you think you viewed 10 movies, and what did you want to communicate with those 10?
So the criteria I used was essentially trying to look for, well, one of my movies specifically is based on something that has stood the test of time. And so we'll get there when we get to that,
Okay.
comparison of our lists. But the others that I looked at, I also was looking at strength of the storytelling and socially.
Okay,
I
good.
think good art is making some kind of commentary about society or, human nature. And so what I'm working with is a lot of these stories that are trying to critique that. And then at the same time, trying to look for a couple of the films on there that have either brought about like a resurgence of maybe an old form of film that has gone away, or something that's been a little bit groundbreaking in the way it was put together. I like to look for things that are new that try and break the mold in some way as well.
Right. Okay, so, and I'm going to say that even though I think I do encompass some of those things, I'm going to guess the storytelling aspect, because of your background and what you're doing current, and some of the other items that you just mentioned may not all be me, and that's good. That's good. Because let's say, for Super Mex Nation, my group, and the people that watch, I want you to get, I don't want to say diverse, but a differing view on what people view as good movies. I mean, because here's the thing, and we'll talk about this a little after the show tonight, but the Oscars are coming up, and the movies have been released. I won't go through those tonight. We'll do an Oscar special for it. But the movies have come out, and, I'm looking at those Oscar movies, and I'm looking at them as like, which ones are going to last? How are they going to be viewed? Those are all important, to me, and how we view them. And so what you and I are doing, we're regular folk, unless you're irregular. It's up to you. You can tell if you're irregular. You're an assassin. You must be irregular. But
So you gotta stop spreading that around, man.
well, here's my thing. We're not A-list actors in Hollywood. There aren't a whole lot that look like me that are A-list actors anyway, by the way. I can say that. That's a rub, right? There aren't a whole lot of dark-skinned Mexicans that are A-list actors. But anyway, the voters for the Academy, etc., that's not you and I. But here's our relevance. Here's our relevance. You and I pay the money to go through the doors that make what they do possible. And so it is important that regular folk, that we get our input as well. And so that's quite literally the nature, and I'll share that a little bit with you, but that's the nature of Super Mex Nation. Regular people standing up and saying, hey, I'm here and I'm valid and my opinion matters. And I'm going to give it to you in a lucid, thought-provoking, good concept way that makes you think and makes everybody else say, like, hey, that guy speaks for me. That young lady speaks for me. I understand what she's getting at. Because here's one that I'll say real quick, and then we'll get started on our list. I got to see 1917, the movie, but the damn movie's not even out. It just came out. Like, how is it up for an Oscar? And I haven't even seen it because I couldn't go to a theater to see it. That's nuts to me. I was like, wait a minute, we're the ones that pay to go see the movies. And you're telling me that 1917 is an Oscar-nominated movie, and this was like a week ago. It wasn't even out yet. I was like, that's crazy. My point being is, that's not viewing what a great film is from the perspective of the people that make those films possible, the regular person.
It's actually pretty fascinating if you look at the list of like Academy Award winners, any of these big film awards that have been given out to the Best Picture. if you compare the list of what has won to the list of what we now consider good, and
Right.
I remember reading it once, and I cannot remember the specifics, but when some of those that won Best Picture of that year, we don't remember anymore, and others that we now look back on as classics of the time weren't necessarily even nominated. So it's pretty interesting.
Okay, that's great point, and I'm going to add to it. So my number one tonight, and I don't think anybody will figure it out, but my number one tonight didn't win the Academy Award. Didn't. But I think, for me, I think that over time, that it's going to hold up exceptionally well. And it's going to be looked at as like, wow, that was a fundamentally different approach to movie making, to film, to acting, to all of the above that no one had ever done before. And that's quite literally why how I view movies. So anyway, okay, without any further ado and without any further gilding of the lily, there you go. You're an English lit person. You gotta appreciate my language. I hope. We'll see. Without any further gilding of the lily. So what we're gonna do is, for you guys out there, so Liana has a list of 10, and I've got a list of 10, and we're gonna marry those two, and we're gonna see where it ends up. But you guys get two lists, and I will post these later in Supermex Nation, the Facebook group, and I will make a separate list specifically and only for the YouTube channel. So all things Supermex will go out, but you're going to get both of our lists. And again, tonight, one lucky winner, one lucky viewer will win. Let's be real nice. Let's be real nice. Somebody's going to win a movie off of Liana's list, and somebody's going to win a movie off of Supermex's list. So you get two movies tonight. I'm going to pick a winner off of Liana's list. You're going to get a free movie. And off of my list, you're going to get a free movie. And last I checked, free is good. Free is good. Okay, so let's go. It's down to business. Your first, number 10. What do you got for number 10?
All right. You might not agree with this one because it's kind of mainstream, and that sometimes is seen as not.
I'm good with mainstream.
But I went with Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way,
I'll tell you what, I have reasons why. Okay. I have my qualms with it, but Wonder Woman is on there. It came out in 2017. Gal Gadot, Chris Pine. But the reason I put that on there is because
Chris Pine?
Chris Pine was in the. Yes, that's exactly why.
I know he's a good-looking dude.
Fair. Now, we have had a huge wave of superhero films, right?
Correct.
For a long time. And it's typically a very male-centric genre,
Absolutely
right?
correct.
We look at all the superheroes, they have been male. Wonder Woman was the first big superhero film that's looking at a female superhero directed by a female director, which
Correct.
is unique.
Correct.
So to me, that matters a lot, that it's telling this story that has been so pervasive in our culture, but it's finally bringing in a female perspective, not just with the main character being female, but with the woman at the helm of this project that being female.
From a woman's perspective.
Correct. Because again, I mean, this has been a big backlash with this last couple of award shows, is that if we look at the history of female directors, how many films have been made compared to how many have actually been nominated for Best Female Director, the discrepancy is huge, right? So we have this big push now moving towards trying to get more female representation.
Right.
Not just in, not just acting, but also hoping to write and direct these projects.
Right.
That for me, this was important because it's starting to make that shift. Granted, I still take issue with certain things, like Wonder Woman only realizes her power once she I guess has her kiss with Chris Pine. That's potentially problematic.
Yeah.
But putting them aside, that's why that one's my number 10.
Okay, so this is why you are here with me tonight, because, sad to say, I do have two superhero movies on my list, and that's not one of them. And here's the thing: you're gonna put the obligatory guilt on me because I like the hell out of that movie, and I'll say it. And and here's the thing: we do nothing but honesty on Supermax Nation. Gal Gadot's hot. She's hot as hell.
Yeah.
She is hot as hell. And oh yeah,
I'm not.
it's a great movie. I'm a superhero comic goon myself, and Wonder Woman. I mean, in essence, only Superman is on a level with her in terms of strength and power and badassness. That's it. She's the most powerful, other than Superman. She's the most powerful superhero, generally speaking, in the DC universe. And so, yeah, I will say this. So I'm looking forward. I'm going to guess you are too. Wonder Woman 1984. That's coming out.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that one just because the tone of it from the trailer seems like it's going to be really different, having it set in the 80s like that.
Well, I'm looking forward to the music. I'm looking forward to the music.
I'm all about it. I was just listening to Aha today, actually. So.
Don't take on me. Don't be taking on me. So yeah, I'm absolutely, I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad. You are here to provide that perspective that I may not see like on the surface immediately, because I'm a guy. It's that simple. So this is going to be a good mesh already. And I'm going to say it. I love that movie. We watched the hell out of that movie. And I'm absolutely looking forward to Wonder Woman 84. I'll say it because I'm a dude, and it isn't just like chauvinist machismo. But Gal Gadot's hot. And here's, you know why she's hot? Okay, it isn't that she's so gorgeous, like physically in comparison to all other women, but she's humble, she's respectful, she's smart. Those are all the things that make hot for me. I mean, there are a lot of good-looking women in the world, but that doesn't mean they're hot. They're hot if they're humble, respectful, they're intelligent, they're strong, they handle their business, they do what they feel is right. That's Gal Gadot. And it doesn't hurt, and I want to say for all you guys out there, and for the women, she was an instructor, a hand-to-hand instructor in the Israeli Defense Force. That is bona fide badass. That is badass. Okay, so great call. Absolutely, I'm with that one. So I'm going to go a little, definitely not as badass on the surface, but I'm going with, give me the year on the Wonder Woman. That was 17, right?
17.
Main characters, Gal Gadot, Chris Pine. Who was the director, the female director?
Patty Jenkins.
Patty Jenkins. Okay, good. I got that. Okay, so that's for you guys, Supermax Nation. All right, so my number 10, Supermax number 10, Her. H-E-R, 2013. Joaquin Phoenix, Amy Adams, Rooney Mara, Olivia Wilde. Director was Spike Jonze, J-O-N-Z-E. And it won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. And there'll be a lot more to it. But I really this movie was it's a good, well-acted movie from a great actor. But it was also a very, very good look at AI, at our future, at relationships and social norms. And that's quite literally what I took out of that film. It staggered me a little bit in where we're going and how things will be when it comes to social norms, relationships, AI, robotics, etc. I thought it was pretty badass because you get a lot of futuristic movies and you get a lot of movies about the future, but this one was a well-acted piecing together of a possible future for us. Did you have a chance to see that or no?
Yeah, well, I think that's interesting because there's a theme I think we see coming out in media these days, right? I mean, Black Mirror is a huge television show right now. If you've had the chance to watch that, but it deals with a lot of those. Yeah, well, it deals with a lot of those same questions of how is technology changing us and what could that look like later on, right? That one it aims to be unsettling. It aims to be dystopian in nature.
Correct.
But I think, and even the title, right, Black Mirror, like
Yeah.
when you have your phone, you turn it off, right? I don't know if people got this, but you're saying who texted me, but this acts as a mirror. How often have you used your phone as a mirror? So it's just an interesting, like, subtle little play on words for the
Right.
title of that as
Right.
well.
Right.
Anyhow, I think we're going to continue to see those trends because again, that's what good art does. It's critiquing and making commentary on where we are right now
Correct.
and trying to figure out, the benefits of where we are with some of these movements like technology, but then also those potential pitfalls.
Life imitating art, art imitating life, and then and that's that nexus where good storytelling, good movie making meets what is coming and what we're dealing with. So that movie was like, it was like, you watch it and you're like, what the hell? And you may not get into it like until too late, meaning you fall off. But watch the damn movie. Watch, for you guys out there, Her, Her, 2013, Joaquin Phoenix. It's just a great movie. It's just a great movie, standalone, by itself, done by, a phenomenal actor. We'll get a little bit more into that later. Okay, number 9, what you got?
I went with Sicario. That one came out in 2015.
Damn! Okay. I love that movie. I love that movie.
Emily Blunt, Josh Brolin, Benicio del Toro, directed by Denis Villeneuve. And that film is looking at essentially how we deal with, the drug cartels in Mexico, right? And what I really like about it is that it shows the complexity of, I guess, the ethical issues at stake in this war. So it doesn't oversimplify it, and if anything, it makes you stop and take pause. And I'm not going to give away the ending because you should just watch it, but it makes you take pause and consider, are we any better in some ways than the people that we're fighting against?
Right. There are ethical and moral dilemmas wrestled with by the characters in the movie. And I'll put something out there for the audience, but ethical and moral don't always coincide in a hit that same point. But ethical has more to do with the individual. Moral has most to do with social and norms for society. And that one, so I'm chuckling because I love the hell out of that movie. That was a good movie. This is going to be tough because you're picking some movies that I like. And for the record, I think KP knows this because I sent him an email with my list. Sicario was on my short list. It was on my short list because I do feel it was, and again, back to my rationale for how I choose things, it was different than the usual drug cartel movie, the usual mafia movie, the usual government interventionist movie. It was not like any that I've seen so far. And here's the thing. It's Josh Brolin, who right now is in a really, really good groove with his projects. I mean, that dude's making a lot of money right now. He's making a lot of money. The Avengers Endgame by itself as Thanos, he's making money. But Josh Brolin is in a groove. I have a massive crush on Emily Blunt. You could ask my wife and daughter about that because she's badass. She's a great actress. She is a great actress. Okay, so it's a good mix, and it was like totally something that I didn't see as I was watching, like, whoa, what the hell? What's going on here? And so I did watch, I don't know if you've seen it, but, Sicario 2, El Día de los Soldados.
I have not actually seen Sicario 2 yet. I'm always skeptical when it comes to sequels, so it makes me nervous with the sequel, but it is on my list. I should watch it.
Okay, so I will tell you, definitely watch it because, obviously it's a sequel, but here's the trick. It takes what's already there and it moves you into something totally different and new because they can make a series out of it. And let's face it, a lot of them do that, right? They make a series out of it. It's easily a series, but the underlying is still the same. It's about dealing with not just drug cartels, but our interaction with South America, Central America, Mexico, and how we deal with organized crime in Latin American countries. And it's a different take. By the time you're done, when it's that movie's done, like, oh wow, they can do some crazy good movies going forward. And then a lot of badass action and, you know, all the above. So anyway, okay, so give me the particulars again. So Sicario, 2015.
2015?
Benicio
Yeah.
del Toro, Josh Brolin, Emily Blunt.
Correct.
Yeah, that was that's going to be a series. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be a series. Great flick. Okay, I'm up to 9. So here's for all of you guys out there that have families and they got kids. I've been there, did that. Action. How to Train Your Dragon. 2010, Jay Baruchel, Gerard Butler. That's Leonidas, by the way. 300, one of my all-time movies. Craig Ferguson.
Oh, I know who Gerard Butler is.
Yeah, he's the beast. Directors Dean DeBlois and Chris Sanders. Now here's why, Supermex Nation, How to Train Your Dragon. I had to include an animated movie, you know, out of that, because let's face it, there are some really good animated movies that are just good movies. And How to Train Your Dragon, I mean, the last one, so the first one started, I think, just prior to, but the last one finished, there's 3 of them in a trilogy, was last year. And so watch all 3. I'm just like encompassing them all. Watch all 3 because it's just a good story and a good trilogy of stories that end up being one good story of growth and humanity and doing what is right at a time when we need to know what the hell doing right is. Because let's face it, some of us don't know what the hell doing right is. So How to Train Your Dragon, obviously the CGI is, you know, state of the art, the very best that you can do. And CGI is going to continue to break boundaries in animation and film in general. I know this award, they won a few for like the major animated awards. They won all of them. It wasn't like an Oscar winner because it was animated, but they won all the major animated awards. And so those are the main characters. It was in 2010 at the very beginning of our window of awards. But there are a lot of good animated features out there. I mean, I've watched more because my daughter makes me. But of all of them, I think this is like the exemplar. How to Train Your Dragon. 3 flicks. If you have kids and you want them to watch something cool and you want to teach them something about right and wrong, morality, ethical conduct, and growth as a kid into adulthood, How to Train Your Dragon. You cannot go wrong. Did you see any of those?
I did, yeah. They're great. I don't remember the first one. It's been a while since I've seen that one. It came out. Yeah, I was going to say, you're getting it right at the beginning of the 10s there.
Well,
but,
junior high in 2010?
No.
I'm being nice. That's too much. That's too much.
I'm proud of my age. Thank you very much.
That's too much. But it's been 3 movies. The last one just finished. I don't know. Do you have any, before we go too far, do you have any animated or cartoon on yours?
On my list, I don't, but I could definitely put one on there, which I would actually be curious to hear about what your reaction would be to it. But I really, really loved Coco.
Oh, yeah. No. That was 2 years ago. Was it 2? 17 or 16?
I believe so, yeah, right around there.
Yeah.
But for me, that will hit close to home just because the grandma has memory issues, right? Music is the only thing that pulls out of it. So I recently lost my grandmother, and she had dementia, and that was one of those things that whenever we play her mariachi music, she would come to life, kind of a thing. So for me, more personal ties there, but I loved the storytelling in that one. Well,
let's put that on the table. I mean, that one's kind of like the movie, Disney animated, whatever, for, Mexican heritage and Mexican background movies that are like, big budget and they're out there. There aren't a lot of those, but that one is one of them. I mean, when you watch it, it's clearly, okay, that's Mexican American, that's Hispanic, and that's cool, you know, and I dig on that. And so some of the things you're talking about, I'm with that too. So that was a good movie. I don't know. You think they're going to do sequels on that?
I mean, I suppose there's always that opening for a creative writer, but I didn't see any thread left for them to do a Coco 2. I didn't see an explicit setup.
Okay.
Though I think they always leave their movies open in such a way that they could follow up.
Maybe we'll have to do one of our own. KP.
I like that idea.
KP. KP. Making KP do everything. Didn't you know KP snaps his fingers and everything just happens?
I know.
I wish.
The Wizard of the West Side, homeboy. Okay, we are at number 8. Your call.
So this one's another superhero, but again, I'm more so looking at it from the social commentary side. It was super enjoyable, but I have Black Panther on there.
Okay.
2018, directed by Ryan Coogler, Chadwick Boseman's in there, Michael B. Jordan, Angela Bassett, Lupita Nyong'o, like a pretty stacked list of talented actors and actresses. But the reason I really love this story is, again, you have a group of people who have traditionally been marginalized coming to the forefront, right?
And it was entirely, an African-American black cast.
Right, and they're being empowered, right? And I really, in particular, enjoyed their the villain, right? Michael B. Jordan's character. Yeah. First of all, he is extremely attractive. But second of all,
what's all that about?
But second of all, I liked that he was a character, a villain with depth. He wasn't just some caricature villain, right? That was like looking to take over the world. Like his backstory,
his setup was good.
Real trauma, and you could see why he grew up to fight for what he fought for in some ways.
Right. No, I'm with you there. Cause I watched it and I was like, damn. That was, because the Marvel Universe, of which Black Panther is a piece of, in the catalog of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies over a long period of time, roughly, most of the 2010s, was all this Marvel Universe piecing together to get to Avengers Endgame, of which the Black Panther played a large part, including at the very end of Avengers and Avengers Endgame, the last two that wrapped it all up. But it was the action and the CGI were just insane. Mm-hmm. You're right about the storytelling. It was great storytelling. The concept of a Wakanda that was a closed off, hidden kingdom that was light years ahead of the rest of the world technologically was kind of cool.
Which is fascinating as well if we look at the fact that this country, Wakanda, is hidden in Africa, right? Mm-hmm. And the way they were able to maintain their anonymity or like their hiddenness was because the world outside just looks at the African continent as impoverished
and backward.
Right? And backward.
Right.
And what could they have to teach us? And so that conversion of that stereotype or that assumption, which is extremely false, right? Yeah. I think it's also really powerful in that story.
Right. I think that's actually a timeless message that you're bringing up. I'll being the history goon. Macedonia at one time was the backward suburb of Athens and mainland Greece, and a young buck from Macedonia ends up conquering the world. Not because they were the most advanced, the most this or that, but because their hunger and their drive and their ability to grow individually separate and distinct from main culture allowed them to grow in different ways. That's like in this movie, Wakanda. In this area, like Fresno, West Fresno, KP, West Fresno, West Fresno. So I don't want to digress too much, but I do think, and I've shared a little bit with you in a few of our conversations, that I do believe there's talent everywhere. It's what you do to excise, bring that out, and explore and blow up. There was no Seattle, independent of grunge and music scene and other things in the early 90s. Okay? Atlanta wasn't there until you get this different scene and this different thought. My point being is that you have to actively take a part in changing and wanting to be more, no matter where you are, where you exist, and no matter what your view is from others. And I live entirely in that world, and I really do think that there are going to be things we do with this show, this network, and on my side of town that are quite literally unique, because I don't want to be a part of what LA does or New York does or Seattle or Atlanta. I want to do what we do and then let everybody else come to us. I'll throw you a reference if you know movies. All Eyes Will Turn to Arrakis. You ever see that movie? Dune?
I don't know that I have. Which one?
Dune, the first one.
Oh, shoot. Yes, I've even read that book, but it's been a long
Frank
time.
Herbert, baby. I've read too many of Frank Herbert novels, but All Eyes Will Turn to Arrakis. And that's quite literally. I'll give you Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come. Build it and they will come. So I'm with you entirely. All right, so where are we at? I'm at number 8. Okay, so I'm going to give you a superhero movie. Not the Black Panther, but Marvel Cinematic Universe. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier. Okay, so of all of the Marvel Cinematic movies that came out in that 10-year window, this one was one of the best in terms of the story told. It wasn't just badass Captain America, Scarlet Witch, or Black Widow, and Nick Fury and the others, but it was a good drama. It was a good drama. There were literary mechanisms. There were things done to try to show you what's coming in the movie sense. It was just a damn good story. In a sense, I'll say it again. I'm a comic goon, and this one was really good for me because they brought out Bucky, and he ends up being the Winter Soldier. That was badass to me because I grew up on that stuff, and it's just a good movie. It isn't just a superhero movie. It was a good movie. And of all of them, aside from maybe Black Panther and definitely Guardians of the Galaxy, because Guardians of the Galaxy is just a great movie. This one, and so for the audience tonight, there are a lot of good movies, a lot of good superhero movies. Go check this one out. It's unlike any other. It was different than all the others. It was different. And it was right in the middle of tying all the other Marvel Cinematic movies to get to the end game that we saw last year. But Bucky and the story of Bucky and Steve Rogers was just a great plot and storyline. And you're an English lit person, so you should appreciate that. I'll obligate you up front. So I loved Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I'm including it because I think a lot of people, that one kind of like went by and was under the radar, but it's a great movie. And for us comic goons, Bucky and Cap back together after, decades of a sleep, it was just really damn good. And I said again, it's a really good movie. I've got 2 superhero movies. That is the one from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, other than the obvious, Avengers Endgame, the first Avengers, Iron Man, etc. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. It was just a damn good movie. Okay, your call, number 7.
All right, so this one came out in 2017, and this one is looking at, you'll like this, history, but looking at it from, again, a perspective or pulling out figures who were were ignored. So Hidden Figures, directed by Ted Melfi, starring Taraji P. Henson. And again, I like how this challenges the mainstream narrative that has been told, right? It's looking at the role that these African-American women had in helping to build out the NASA program and get us to space. And we all know that is a great accomplishment for our country, However, we have not given credit where credit is due.
Correct.
Because of various, racial tensions.
Right, right. So they didn't get credit. I did finally watch it, and I'm like, wow, And let's face it, let's put that on the table too. For African American folk or minorities in general, the like cognitive stigma that intellectually you can't do these things that others are doing because of your ethnicity, your race, or your background. And I will say it, math by itself is a universal language. Anybody can learn math. Language is different, you know that in particular. But math is a universal language. And anybody can learn it, and anybody can be good at it. And so I did like that. But you're absolutely right that those ladies never got the attention. They never got the accolades or just and due acknowledgement that they probably deserved for the work that they did to help put our program together, our space program.
Well, and here we also see an intersection of two historically marginalized groups, right? African Americans and then women, which again, obviously is something that I'm invested in, is this rising up and in a way where the genders are equal to each other.
Correct. Just getting, equal work, equal pay, right?
Of course. Equal work, equal pay, equal
Do you get equal pay?
equal respect.
Do you get equal pay?
I'm lucky to get equal pay to my colleagues.
I got a quick question, and then we'll jump back. I don't want to make it too like social, not the movies, right? Because we're in movies. But because of that, it has to do with the movie. I ask you a question: do you get equal pay? The answer is, rhetorically yes. Mm-hmm. But I've had people say, or have I had people tell me that it may not be entirely on the surface equal, because if you get the same position, you're both going to get paid, say a guy and you, right? Say someone, let's do this on the table. You and another guy, your age, your experience level, your qualifications, all the same, all things being equal, you're going to get paid the same amount. But in terms of academia, higher academia, and even K through 12, do you find that even though that seems equal, there are far more males that hold the top positions than there are females?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
okay.
that one's not deniable. And the things that you have to deal with in the classroom are different, likewise, for women than they are for men. For example, it takes a lot more work for a woman to earn credibility in the classroom than for a man to, honestly.
Yeah.
So that's something that we talk about in our department quite often.
Right.
Even if you look at I'm kind of getting off on a side tangent here, but
no, that's cool.
Chronicle of Higher Education, a couple of these pedagogy-focused publications, they've done studies to look at student evaluations and the differences that gender can play in how students are evaluating, the education that they're getting in the classroom. And they did this experiment where it was an online course. It was the same person teaching the course. The only difference was in one, they gave this person a female name, and the other they gave this person a male name. Everything else was the same. The female got lower course evaluations. So it's pretty fascinating. There's still clearly a lot of work to be done.
There is work. I will say this. I do think, and I'm a guy, so maybe I'm not the right guy or the right person to say, but I do think things have gotten better. Mm-hmm. But I tell my friends, guys usually, that think, it is equal because they get the same pay if they get the same job. But it doesn't mean you have the same ability to get that job. It doesn't mean you're viewed the same, kind of what you're saying here. And more importantly, in academia, higher academia, and K through 12, the larger percentage of people getting those higher paying jobs are male.
Right.
Are male. I mean, I know in my backyard that our superintendent of our local high school and local school districts, he's over $200,000 a year. Personally, I think that's insane. I really do. I think that's nuts. I mean, this isn't a Fortune 500 CEO, and this guy's not a bad guy. He's not evil. He's not doing wrong. He's taking what he's given. But $200,000, not counting the car perks and other things, that's insane to me. And invariably, more often than not, more males occupy those higher paying positions. So the equality, to your point, isn't quite there.
Right.
I'm on record. Supermex says it's unequal. And I'm about as macho and in your face, blatant male dude as you're going to get. It's unequal. It's unequal. Great point. Thank you for the social commentary, because it is part of what we're doing. Okay, number 7. All right, here's my second superhero movie, and I won't even call it a superhero movie. It's just a damn good movie. The Dark Knight Rises, because the Dark Knight trilogy began in the 2000s. 1, number 2, and then The Dark Knight Rises was the culmination of that trilogy, the third movie, and it wrapped everything up that was done. Okay, so full disclosure, upfront disclaimer. I'm a massive Christian Bale fan. I don't think this guy can do wrong as an actor. The guy is ridiculously good. He's badass. If I had a second life to go act, I would be Christian Bale. That guy is badass. Okay, so he, in my opinion, took the traditional superhero movie genre and said, I'm not a superhero. I'm a badass character, and I've got a story to tell. And so it leapt from being just the traditional comic superhero thing to a drama, a story, a social commentary, a look at who and what we are, and the things that we wrestle with as individuals. Will you do right and wrong, and will you cross the line to do what's right, even if society says that might be wrong? He does for the higher good. And that's why. So, Dark Knight Rises, 2012. Watch all 3. Christian Bale, 2012. Michael Caine. Now here's the trick. Watch these. Look at these actors. Look at these actors. Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Gary Oldman, Anne Hathaway, and Tom Hardy. Those are all A-list, Academy Award-winning, super badass actors in their own right. At that time, all in one movie, a superhero movie. And I thought that was hysterical. One movie. But Tom Hardy greenlights projects on his own. Anne Hathaway, A-list, upfront diva actress, badass. Michael Caine as the butler, Alfred, he almost made me cry. Oh. He almost made me cry, Michael Caine. I was like, insane. He was just that good. So anyway, so we're moving on.
I love the Nolans. The Nolans are phenomenal.
I'm sorry, I didn't tell you. So director Christopher Nolan, which in this time window of 2010s, and we didn't do that tonight, but if we had to put like a top 2, 3, 4, 5 of directors, he's got to be up there 1 or 2 somewhere.
The work that they do, I love it because it's accessible on multiple levels. If you want to watch it just for the, shoot them up and run around for action adventure, you can do that. But if you want to actually dig into it, he's making a lot of really interesting philosophical arguments and social commentaries.
Correct.
So these films, we've got Inception, we've got Westworld, the TV series on HBO. They did those.
Oh, that's right. He's Nolan, huh?
Yeah, they're all great.
I watched the hell out of Westworld, waiting for the new season. Cool. Yeah, you've seen all those too? Okay, right. Yeah, I watched the hell out of those. Okay, so Dark Knight Rises, Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Gary Oldman, Anne Hathaway, Tom Hardy, director Christopher Nolan. My best DC, Wonder Woman's DC too, though, you're going to kill me. But out of that window of the Dark Knight trilogy, I think Christian Bale and Nolan changed the way we view dramatic superhero movies. I love that series.
If anything, I kind of almost forget to talk about the Batman trilogy with the superhero movies because I do feel like it just does totally different work than
it does.
All of the other ones did. So I also think we can't I totally lost my train of thought. Sorry, I'll come back to it.
You're going to get existential on me. You're going to use some literary mechanisms on me.
Oh man, I could go. You reminded me. Yeah, the argument that you could then talk about with regards to Batman and being outside of society and outside of the law gets really complex, which I won't get into right now because that could be a whole other side wheel conversation. But a lot of really deep, meaty, ethical, moral questions there too.
Right, exactly. So that's what, and I'll say it. I mean, I think that way. I think that personally. I argue with myself. It's hard to win that argument. I grapple. It's hard to win that grapple. I have trouble with right and wrong, and not in a bad way, but I have trouble with right and wrong on doing what is right when I know that the around me, my existential bubble around me, other people, society would say that's wrong to do. And I'm not talking about going to murder somebody, right? I'm not talking about like Batman. But doing what is right in the face of all others telling you that it isn't right, when you know wholeheartedly and moving forward, you know that in 10 years this is wrong. And that as we view this, we will have been wrong. Social commentary current, by the way. But I think like that. And that's why that whole series, that movie, moved me that way. Because I wrestle with doing what is right ethically outside of the traditional norms or laws in this case. You know, he's a vigilante. That was the whole shtick to Batman. He does what is right when the law does not allow you to do what's right. And yes, we are enmeshed and mired in that situation right now, where we need people to stand up and do what is right so they don't have to go outside the law. Because if you had people doing what is right, they do not have to go outside the law. So I'll be on that one all day. But so for you, full disclosure, I think that way. I think that way. Okay, number 6.
So this one is a genre bender. Came out in 2017. Get Out, Jordan Peele. And the reason I love this one, well, this one also won Best Screenplay. I think. I like this one.
Hold on.
Right on spot.
What?
I'm going to hold you.
Spot.
That's my number 6.
No way.
That is KP.
Well, that was so well. We can just tag
KP,
team
help a
this
brother
one.
out.
Number 6.
That is my number 6. That is
We
my
can
number
tag
6.
team this one then.
Okay,
I'll tell you
so
what.
great minds do think alike.
And then I want to hear why you chose it.
Okay, let's say that's, well, it meshes, right? Okay, so I'll tell you
So-
why. Like a regular guy, that scared the hell out of me. That scared the hell out of me. I had this nightmare where I was that dude and some like rich, crazy white family was doing that to me. I'm like, hell no. That's a new genre bending horror, right?
Well, see, my reasons for choosing it are different because I love the genre bending.
That didn't scare you?
I felt like the horror element was different than your typical horror film. It wasn't like a Conjuring. It wasn't like the Insidious films. You didn't necessarily have things popping out at you. It was extremely unsettling. And yet, I think the brilliance of it was that you went in expecting a horror. It wasn't quite horror, so you didn't feel necessarily super scared.
It was for me. Let me reiterate. To reiterate, it scared the hell out of me.
Assassin, it's fine.
Hey,
But-
maybe they wouldn't do that to a female, but that movie scared the hell out of me. You like the way I
Here's
do
why
that?
I think it's so brilliant, though, is because I went in expecting to be terrified and wasn't super terrified, and yet the subject matter of this marginalization and this exploitation, that's the real horror, right?
You're killing me. It didn't scare you. It scared the hell out of me. And it
Just
didn't
saying.
scare you. That's freaking me the hell out. That is freaking me. KP, did that thing scare you? That scared. Okay, hey, so it's a guy-female thing, and that's okay because we're different. But I'm going to say it one more time for posterity. We may even make this a damn, some other fools make memes.
Hey,
So I'm going to say it again. It scared the hell out of me. I'm surprised it didn't scare you. But you're more on the intellectual. I get it. I get it. Go ahead. Run with it.
No, like I said, I think it was just great. And Jordan Peele then had Us come out after that, and there's just it's doing a lot of really interesting work.
All right, we just saw that one. We just saw the Us. We saw that. Yeah, that was kind of cool too. That was creepy, but not like that other one.
His performance in Us was.
I mean, look at that kid's face. Put that up again, KP. Look at that guy's face. That is fear. That is fear. And I don't
Right.
get scared. That is fear right there. That shit scared the hell. But we're on the same sheet of music.
We are.
That was 6. And I'm going to say it, okay, it scared the hell out of me. I won't do the cool sound. I won't falsetto that. But that number 6, it was definitely different. It was definitely different than any other movie I saw in the decade of the 2010s. You don't even have to be black, okay? Because of what people in power or position, white, black, blue, brown, green, orange, southern, northern, Republican, Democrat, all of the above. There's a good one for your students. A, B, C, D, E, all of the above. Anybody can be scared by the capability of people with means, power, money, etc., can do to people that don't have. Maybe that's why it scared the hell out of me. But last thoughts on that one, because I'm glad we got that one. We got one right together. All right, number 6. So that was definitely different for me. Okay, so got both that. Number 6. Give me your number 5.
I went with The Farewell. So that one came out this year,
who?
directed by. Pardon?
The who?
The Farewell.
The Farewell. This year?
An Asian film directed by Lulu Wang. Awkwafina was in
Okay,
it.
you're learning me up. You're learning me up. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no, she got really well known for her performance in Crazy Rich Asians, which is another really fun one. And she actually made history as the first person of Asian descent to win a Golden Globe for lead actress in that film.
So that was 2019.
It was this year, yes.
So, on the record, any movies that you name that I have not seen, I will see. I don't know that one. And so
Yeah.
I will go and get that one. So,
The Farewell, yeah.
Okay. The Farewell.
And it's kind of a tragic comedy. The grandmother in this film has cancer, but the family doesn't tell her. And so it's this tension of them basically holding this false wedding so that everyone can get together and see her one last time because she doesn't have a very long prognosis while she doesn't know what's going on. And so a lot of what's happening is we're seeing this clashing of values between cultures. So like an Eastern value system versus a Western value system. And there are some really interesting moments of dialogue in the film that kind of play with this.
So give me particulars. Year? Got that?
This past year, 2019.
2019.
directed by Lulu Wang, starring
Lulu?
Awkwafina.
Aquafina.
LUL.
Okay, that's a Netflix thing, ain't it?
Yes, she's also in the coming up
No.
show. She's got a show coming up.
I've seen that advertised. Is it on Netflix or Prime?
I think it's coming
The
up.
Farewell, it was released.
No, not that. Aquafina.
Yeah, she's got a series. She's gonna get a series.
That's it. She's got a series. Okay, so that actress.
Yes.
That actress is in this
She's a
one.
rapper. She's a hip hop artist.
She's a rapper?
Yes.
What the hell?
She's actually a rapper.
Okay, I didn't know
New
that.
York, not New York.
You learn
She's-
something
She's got really
every
good
damn day. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. Okay, so on the record, I will check that one out. The Farewell.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, my number 5. 2010. And I didn't like that movie as much when I first watched it, but it stayed with me for 10 years. The Social Network. The Social Network. Jesse Eisenberg, Andrew Garfield, Armie Hammer, Max Minghella, and a wannabe actor, Justin Timberlake. He's a wannabe actor. Here's my thing with The Social Network. And so I think, I don't know if I've told you, so I've got a son who's at Harvard now. And the things he tells me about the conversations that he has with just people milling about, eating at a dining facility or in classes, what they're coming up with and what they're thinking about right now, like this guy, right, that created Facebook, Zuckerberg, at Harvard, the concept and the conceptualizing of things that they want to do end up being something that you and I are on quite literally right now. You and I are on Facebook.
Yeah.
You and I are on Facebook right now, getting out to my fans on my page in Supermax Nation and in other forms because of Facebook. So I'm not saying it was like the blueprint for actors in the next decade. I'm not saying it was this, and that screenplay. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying, it is significant because what that was in the telling of that story is quite literally the reason why you and I are on screen right now.
Right.
There's significance there. And I think there was, they won the director David Fincher. Yeah, director was David Fincher, and they won an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay and Original Score. Believe it or not. Best Original Score. So they won 2 Academy Awards, so it wasn't like just some crazy movie. But I'm still thinking about that movie 10 years later because of social media, the social network that has led us to think and to act and to conduct ourselves in different ways as a society right now. I think we all know that, right? I mean, there's no question that social media plays a larger role in our lives than it ever has in our history, and definitely more than 2010. That was a story telling about how this guy, Zuckerberg, changed our lives. Whether we like Zuckerberg or not is irrelevant. What matters is the outcome of his product.
Yeah.
And so that movie, in a weird way, like I said, when I saw the movie, I was like, little cheeseball. But damn, if I'm not still, even now, I mean, I don't have to like the guy, but I'm using his medium right now. Right now. So anyway, did you see that one or no?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but yes.
10 years, right? 10 years. Okay, let's motor along. Number 4.
So for number 4, I went with another one that came out this year. And it was kind of a sleeper film that came out of nowhere and wound up being quite successful. It's one called Peanut Butter Falcon. So directed by 2 unknowns, Tyler Nilson and Michael Schwartz. And the story around why they made this film is really, really cool. So they wound up getting Shia LaBeouf in there, as well as Dakota Johnson. And they put this together. It took them about 5 years for their friend Zach, how do you say his last name? Gottsagen, I think is how you say it. But he has mental disabilities, but he really wanted to act. And so they would go to this kind of like acting camp and wound up meeting him and really liked him. So they created this story around him in order to help him accomplish what he'd always wanted to accomplish, which was to be in a film.
Okay.
And
Is that it there?
that is
Oh,
it.
yeah, I've seen that. No, okay. I didn't watch it, but I've seen that. It was either on Prime or Netflix. So Peanut Butter Falcon. What was the year?
Just this past year, 2019.
2019.
I think it was a pretty wide release as it gained traction in theaters.
No.
But I really like how it's just this indie film that came out of nowhere that people loved because of the storytelling. And just, it was well done. Kind of took you by surprise.
Okay, so I was probably going to get to that, but as I stipulated earlier, if it's on your list and I have not seen it, I will see it.
So watch it.
Peanut Butter Falcon. I'm gonna. My wife and daughter are here with me tonight, so they're probably, we're gonna take a list and I already got a list a mile long of movies we got to see. I'm gonna end up being watching movies all the damn time, man. Like, got nothing better to do, right? Got to make some money. Anyway, Peanut Butter Falcon, 2019. I will see that movie. I got you on that one. And I do listen. Shia LaBeouf is not appreciated as an actor. I mean, he gets kind of the bad rap for all the crazy, that he does. But the kid's a good actor. The guy can act.
Yes, and you'll like him in the film.
Okay, I will definitely watch that one. All right, number 4. Number 4 from this year, year past, The Joker. It was on my list of 2019 movies, and aside from the obvious, and I think what should be a Road to Best Actor award for Joaquin Phoenix. I think,
Right.
you never know. But he has won the SAG Awards. He's won the Golden Globe. He's won just about every award you could win leading up to the Oscars. And I do believe he deserves to win. I do. I absolutely. And I've seen almost all the other movies that all the other actors are in, and he was just incredible. So let's put that aside for a second. Great performance. Good. We're talking about the film. If you dig and you watch, and I'm going to watch again and again and again, and I've said this on air on the show more than a few times, you have social commentary and social relevance right now with what that movie portrayed. Things that people are dealing with right now. When he walks into his counselor and the counselor tells him that the government is shutting down due to lack of funding, he will no longer receive his medication because he's a little, he's a little weird, off something. It won't be too critical, ruthless, but he needs his medication to think and stay straight, personally. That's going on right now in America. That is right now. The fact that we treat people differently and beat the hell out of them just because they are different. That is right now. That has always been going on. The ability for media and social media to elevate someone beyond a simple, hey, I'm this regular nobody guy, and become something more, which is what he ends up at the end of the film, where he becomes this this iconic image of the wrongs with right now in a society. That's all right now. That is all right now. So there's so much going on there, underlying social, that the story told and the director put out. It was I walked out of that, I was like, that was an incredible movie. It was a badass movie. And yes, his performance was incredible.
And the commentary on mental health issues is extremely relevant, and that's
It's right now.
Problem. And there needs to be a huge shift in the way we handle mental health and treat mental illness.
Correct. If we took the time, energy, effort, and money, because that illustrated the point. What happens when you walk in and you can no longer get your medication? Your life alters, your life changes because you can't afford it, or because the government will no longer fund it, or you can't afford it because the government sees the prices skyrocketing. That's all right now. That is current. Drug prices in America. I can go on and on. That's going to be an election issue, by the way. That is so relevant, so current right now. And I mean, aside from all the other things that, maybe you and KP know better than I, the mechanisms, the quick little nuances of skill that a director employs to move you in a direction as a watcher, as a viewer, as a fan, it was staggering. It was staggering. And again, that's aside from a comprehensive and seriously damn good performance individually from an actor. And that's aside from that, because that performance by itself was worth the damn watch, in my opinion. So I've got number 4, The Joker, 2019. I think it's still in theaters. I'm going to buy it. I want that movie. I'm going to watch it again, over and over probably. Joaquin Phoenix, Robert De Niro. Director was Todd Phillips. It is currently nominated for 6 Academy Awards. including all the big ones: Best Picture, Lead Actor, and Director. Those are the big ones. All right, so it's nominated for all those. I don't know how many it'll win. I'm fairly certain that Joaquin Phoenix should win for at least Best Actor. I really do believe that. And I think it's acknowledged by all of his peers, including Christian Bale and some of the others that were phenomenal in their roles. They acknowledge he was just another level. It was like one of those singular performances. And by the way, Joaquin Phoenix already has an Oscar from prior. Anyway, so Joker, thank you for your input, because yeah, mental health issues are right now. And we better get a damn handle on it, or our people are going to suffer. Okay, your go. Number 3.
So number 3 came out in 2015, and it's actually an adaptation of a book, which I love the book, which is probably why I also love this film. But it's the film Room, not to be mixed up with the movie The Room, which is
Just
one
Room?
of those. Yeah, Just Room. It was directed by Lenny Abramson. It's starring Brie Larson, Jacob Tremblay, William H. Macy. And the premise of this story is, do you remember a few years back when they arrested this man because he'd been holding a couple of women hostage in his basement for years? And
I do.
children. It's that same kind of story. And Brie Larson's character is the one who's abducted. You don't see that. When we start the film, she's in this room.
That's Captain Marvel.
Pardon? Yeah, it is.
I'm messing with you. Go ahead.
The prequel.
Yeah.
She has a son from her captor while she's in this room, and she's trying to protect her son.
Really?
Trying to raise her son and
Wait a
teach him.
minute. Let me back it up. So she
Yeah.
has a son
By her captor. Correct.
from that dude.
Yeah.
So he raped her,
Yep.
and she had a son. Oh, hell no. Really?
But here's why the writing is brilliant, because in the text, in the book itself, it's written from the perspective of her son. And so it maintains this innocence, even though it's a very dark subject matter, because it's through the eyes of her son. And the way that the writer of this book navigates those waters is brilliant. But in the film, I really like the way it looks at, well, the mother and her efforts to protect her son, right? And at the same time, also looking at her dealing with her trauma,
Yeah.
and trying to work through something, because she was, I can't remember exactly how long it was in the film that she was in captivity, somewhere like 7 to 10 years, and what you do with your life after that, right? And it's just a really, really well done film. So I highly recommend it.
Okay, I'm
I
watching
also
that.
recommend the book. So,
Okay. No,
read
I'm
the book.
watching that then. That's like, that's ugly. I'm like, that's some ugly stuff. But that stuff takes place. That's going on now. And I know for some of my loyal followers that have been with me for a number of years now, I have done more than a few. I won't say a lot. I will do more. But I do a lot on human trafficking. I do a lot on guys and underage girls, guys taking advantage of girls. I do a lot because I think that's sorry. If you're a guy, you're sorry. You're sorry excuse for a human being to do that. And so,
Yeah.
what can I do? I can't go beat the hell out of everybody, but I can bring focus and draw some light on right and wrong. And that's ugly, man. That's ugly.
But we also get some really interesting philosophical questions around how our environment shapes our understanding of the world, right?
Correct.
Because this little boy is born in this room until they, get out of it. That's all he knows. And so,
Wow.
how does that form your understanding?
Okay, so she had the child while she was still in the room.
Correct.
And so initially, he was raised in that room until they got out.
Correct.
Wow. Okay, watching. So what is that, 3? You got 3 I'm going to have to watch now. All right. Good to go. But that's some ugly stuff. Okay, we are at, I'm at my number 3. Number 3. Okay, so 10 years. Another one that I didn't, it didn't jump off the page at me. I watched it. It was good. It was creepy. It was weird. But 10 years later, it is significant to me.
Right.
Now, so the movie is 2010, Inception. Leonardo DiCaprio, you said something earlier about
I did.
Ken Watanabe, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Marianne Cotillard, Tom Hardy, director Christopher Nolan, as you brought up earlier. Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, because that was insane at the time, the imagery, and Best Cinematography. So they won 2 Academy Awards. But here's the critter with this one, is that I honestly believe that your subconscious and your psyche are manipulable individually
Yeah.
for you. I absolutely believe that. Now, how much you can control of your subconscious mind and your outside the day-to-day thought is up to you, but you have to actively work and progress to do that. And I like to tell people that if I have a problem or an issue, and I learned this from my dad, I go to sleep thinking on the issue, the problem, the situation. And invariably, I almost always wake up with an answer. If I actively work on that prior to, and then as the mind is working in my subconscious and in my sleep, you come up with a problem. So this is like, it was cool when I watched it, and I gotta admit that over time, Leonardo DiCaprio has grown on me. The guy's a good actor. I remember This Boy's Life. It was a great movie. But, you know, another one, he gets more credit for being the good-looking, 6'9", 9,000, tall, blonde, light-eyed guy, right? Which isn't me. I'm the average-size, dark guy. So I have grown to appreciate the dude for being the actor that he is now. And I have to say that that movie, even though I didn't get it, I got it, but it wasn't like a big deal to me. But 10 years later, it's significant because I do believe that's the next frontier as we explore AI, robotics, virtual reality, all of that. That is all coming. That is all now. And one component to that is how we deal with our psyche and our subconscious. And so I won't give away too much for viewers if you haven't seen it, but it's about a guy who gets into people's dreams and extracts surgically things that he wants, and he gets paid a lot of money to take, through corporate espionage in the psyche, to take out ideas, thoughts, and secrets out of the minds of his competitors or people. He gets paid to do that. So, Inception, that is my number 3. Did you have that on yours?
I did not, but I do love that one. I can fully support that being on your list.
Okay. But you saw it, right?
I love that one.
Good to go. All right. You're number 2.
So this one, depending on who you talk to, it could be divisive, but I loved La La Land. That one came out in 2016. Bell directed it, Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling, and everyone loves Ryan Gosling. But it earned a whole slew of awards, right? I mean, Best Score, Best Director at the Golden Globes, Best Actress. Justin Horowitz is the guy who wrote the score. But the music, first of all, is great.
Right.
Second of all, I really like what it does with, it brings back almost like the musical genre in film.
I would say it rebooted I saw some of it. I didn't watch it all. I was like, but it kind of rebooted the musical, right?
Well, and it's the question, yeah, completely. And the questions that it asks are really relevant. It's, what are you willing to do to accomplish your dreams, right? What are you willing to give up? And what's that experience like? But then you also have these moments of like meta commentary in the film with regards to how you craft your story and how you, I guess, eventually are the director of that particular life story, right?
So I think, did Emma Stone win for Best Actress
She did.
on that one? And that one kind of threw me for a loop because, like I said, I didn't watch it all. I saw a piece of it. I didn't watch it all. But I was sitting there like, how the hell does she win for Best Actress for La La Land and she didn't get Jack for Superbad? What the hell?
Couldn't tell you, man.
She was A-list in Superbad. People were like, what the hell is he talking about? Superbad. Before she was that, she was Jules. Okay, so I know they won a load though. I know they won a load of awards off that
Right.
movie. So I don't know. Like that one, I'm like, oh man.
I know. I told
No,
you.
no, no. I'm not saying for you, but I'm saying now I might have to watch the damn thing.
You
I
did
made-
say it, but
I-
I said you've not seen your watch.
And I put it on record. That's the problem. That's what happens when you're
Oh.
live and you put it on record. You have to like do what you say you're going to
You
do.
have to do it, yeah.
Anyway, Emma Stone will never be as good as Jules in Superbad. That was my movie. Okay, my number 2 from this year, and this one was a tough one for me because, well, it's there. 2019, Jojo Rabbit. I absolutely love everything about this movie. And I've said more than a few times on air, the Nazi and World War II genre is the most covered and the most talked about, the most written about, period, epoch, E-P-O-C-H, in human history. In human history. So if you're going to do a movie on Nazi Germany, then you better do something quite unique and different than anything that's ever been done before. I said prior to that, Schindler's List was that.
Yeah.
There was nothing like Schindler's List about Nazi Germany and that period in our history, World War II. There was nothing like it. Jojo Rabbit, I have never, and I've seen a lot of World War II Nazi movies. I've seen more documentaries than most people would care to count. There is no movie like Jojo Rabbit that I have ever seen about that time period, about that epoch in human history. There's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. I absolutely love the movie. I'll go a step further. KP knows this. I think that little kid, Roman Griffin Davis, should have got a nod at least for Best Actor. He was phenomenal. He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He was the beginning of the movie, the alpha, and the omega. He was beginning to end the entire movie, all of it.
Yeah.
And as an actor and as a performer, if you can do that, you can carry the entire movie individually. That's pretty incredible for an individual actor like Joaquin Phoenix in The Joker. But this kid played a 10-year-old little boy, and he made me choke up. He made me laugh. He made me think twice. He made me feel empathy for his situation as he was trying to fit in the Hitler Youth in Nazi Germany while wrestling with the wrongs of anti-Semitism and death. The kid was phenomenal. I really do. I think he was absolutely incredible. And so that director, so I'll give you that. So Jojo Rabbit, 2019, Roman Griffin Davis, Scarlett Johansson, got a crush on her, Sam Rockwell, Rebel Wilson, Thomasin McKenzie, keep an eye on her. She's a hell of an actress coming up. That young gal, the one that plays the Jewish girl in the hidden area. And then Taika Waititi. That dude as a director, I mean, he's on everybody's short list right now to direct film. And as
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler, he was insane. That guy was insane as Hitler. It was true. So they're nominated for 6 Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Screenplay. Personally, I would like to see it win Best Film. I don't know if it will. It probably won't. But I'm going to say it again. I have never seen a movie like that dealing with the most covered, most talked about, most written about, your area, the most written about period in human history. And it was unlike anything I've ever seen.
Right.
And again, good performances, all that other stuff, but it was just it was a great film. I absolutely love that movie. I'm going to buy that one, and I will watch it repeatedly. Jojo Rabbit. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, I don't do this very often. I'm telling you to see Jojo Rabbit. I don't do that because I don't like telling people what to do. But if you're in my audience, you're my fans, it is worth it. It is that damn good. Jojo Rabbit. Go watch it. Okay, your call.
So this is our number 1, right?
This is your number 1. What you got?
So this one
Hit me.
has stood the test of time. It is also based on a book, a very well-known book, and has been done as a film before. But came out 2019. Little Women, Greta
Oh,
Gerwig,
okay.
up and coming. Well, I mean, she's pretty well established now as a writer and director. She did Lady Bird, which got her a lot of acclaim. But this one, Little Women, was packed with a bunch of
So
well-known actors.
doesn't that just come out? Like it's just out now, right?
Yeah. It came out on Christmas Day. So
Okay.
it's starring Saoirse Ronan as Joe March. Then we've also got Meryl Streep in there. We've got Laura
Who's
Dern,
that?
Emma Watson. Oh, I mean, she's just this lady, you know. I don't know if I spell her name or if I said it right, but
I couldn't help myself. Who's Meryl Streep? Who the hell's that?
right? No, and then it's got Timothy
Oh, wait a
Chalamet.
minute. Wasn't she in The Devil Wears Prada?
She was.
I was like, I know that movie. I like that movie. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Very actress. But no, I just love this film because, again, it's looking at, it was considered like domestic fiction, which most people were like, why would we read that? It's a story about just these lives of these sisters and women, and it's boring. But it's not boring because it's real life. We're looking at, human connection, and we're also looking at, again, one of the subjects that matters a lot to me, expectations placed on women and how they're navigating in these different social, I guess, expectations that have been placed, right?
So
And
let me
while-
make you work, Professor. Let me make you work.
Yeah.
So, like, as what I said about number 2, Jojo Rabbit, and all good. But like Jojo Rabbit, the most covered period in human history. Little Women has been done a lot.
Right. Yeah.
It's almost like you update it for the time, right? So, this is your query, your question. It's been done a lot. What is different or better about this one than all the prior iterations?
Yeah. So one, to your point that it's been made often and just updated for the time, I think that shows how timeless and relevant the story is, right? If we can continue to update it for the time and have it still resonate, there's something there that was tapped into. This particular story, Greta Gerwig plays with time a little bit, and so the way in which the story is told is not linear because the book itself is
not?
basically in 2 parts. No,
Oh, okay.
the film kind of splices back and forth between future and past in ways that frame both of them in an interesting way. And she also ties in elements of Louisa May Alcott's life
Oh,
with Joe's character in this
With Joe.
particular film.
okay.
And the way that, we all know how Little Women ends, I would imagine, at this point. I don't think I need a spoiler alert since it's been around for so long. But she makes Joe's character very much kind of like a literary representation of Louisa May Alcott, the author of the text, which I think is really, really cool. And she also kind of has this moment at the end where, in the book, Joe's character winds up marrying the professor. However, that was due to social pressures exerted
Dirty
upon
old
Louisa.
perv.
She did not want to marry off Joe's character. She wanted to leave her
But
unmarried.
they normally had to, right?
Right, but the publishers told her no one's going to buy a book about an unmarried woman. She has to get married or she has to die. And so that comes out in the film. And again, I just really like the way she merges those characters, but then commentates on all these different roles.
Okay. All right. So, that answers my question then. So, like I said, Louisa May Alcott and the story, that book, it's almost like required reading, for the most part, growing up, in terms of the literature of it, which I'm sure you could appreciate. There are just books
sure.
you should read growing up, male or
Oh, for
female.
sure.
And that's that's required reading like for normal school systems. But yeah, it's been done a lot. That movie in particular, somebody doing a movie on Little Women. So I have not seen it. I know it's out, but that's another one just came out recently. And so I'm gonna have to get. I do like Saoirse Ronan. She's
Joe.
yeah.
She's
There are a lot
perfect.
of good actresses, right? There are a lot of good actresses, but she's a different critter. I think she's going to start doing some stuff that's just like going into this new decade. It's just gonna, her roles are gonna be off the charts. I really do believe that she's something coming. Okay, so I got you. Here's my number one. My number one. And I think I alluded to this a little earlier. I had never seen anything like it. I haven't seen anything like it because it was done differently. The construction of the movie and the directing and all the storyline, all of it that goes into it, had to be different. So you'll know immediately when I say it, because it was done, the movie was done over 12 years. Over 12 years. My movie number one for the 2010s that really staggered me, and again, another one, when I first watched it, it was just a good movie. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I get it. And then over time, I was like, that's a badass movie. My movie is Boyhood, 2014. It was, again, it was done over 12 years. This wasn't a movie you shot, you put out, you watched. It follows the life of this little dude named Mason, and I want to say it, the regular family struggles that people out there in America are dealing with right now. The mom and dad didn't work out. They ended up, divorcing, moving off in different directions. The kids tugged between the mom and the dad, trying to reconcile all the things that go along with a split family, having difficulty in the school system as they detail that out. And I just found when we got to the back end of it, the movie finished, I sat there and I'm like, I didn't want it to finish. I didn't want it to finish. I wanted it to be an ongoing movie about a good kid who, through just some love and some perseverance, deals with all these things, grows up, and ends up being just a good kid, good regular person, not screwed up, not messed up, not doing crazy stuff because they had a busted up family. You know what I mean? Because that's the norm now. If people have busted up situations, families split, families divide, and the kids end up suffering for it. This movie was entirely from the child's perspective and how he dealt with it and how he managed to grow up and still be just a good person. And we need a hell of a lot more of that right now. And so that movie, I kept going back to him and said, and I'm not going to say I do relate to it a little bit. I lost my pop when I was a little boy. My family was destroyed, shattered, and divided. But you can grow up and still be a good person, I guess is the message, right? And done over 12 years, the way they approached, I would only imagine, you probably know better than I, the writing construction of the movie, how they wrote it out, that had to be different. And obviously the shots, the actors and actresses over time. I'll say it again. There was no other movie done like that in the 2010s, or maybe, let's put it this way. I've already seen it as I was doing my work. It's popping up on like top 100 lists all time now. And that kind of freaked me out because I came to that conclusion on my own. I don't go look at other people's stuff. I take my own and then I go look to see, oh wow, check that out. Maybe I'm not that far off base. But that movie, 2014, so Patricia Arquette, Ethan Hawke, both really good actors and actresses themselves. The young man is Eller Coltrane. He plays the young boy, Mason. Director was Richard Linklater. They did win a BAFTA award for Best Picture. And then Patricia Arquette got the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. So that's, I love that movie. I'm going to say it, I not just highly recommend, but like the others in this 3 or 4, and maybe Liana's too, you guys got to watch these movies because they're an indicator, if not a microcosmic spotlight or view of who we are, who we were over the last 10 years. And isn't that what art is supposed to do? That is what it is supposed to do, in my opinion. So my number one is Boyhood. So what we'll do is, we're not quite done, we're about to wrap up, but I've got a list of 10, Liana's got a list of 10. I'm going to share those with you. Tonight, I'm going to pick a winner off of the people that have been with me all night. Some of you guys, Sean, okay, you're going to win, Sean. You've been here. I know Barbara ropes you into watching my show, homeboy, but I got nothing but love for you because if you love Barbara, you love me, and vice versa. So, Sean, you win tonight. You're going to pick a movie off of my list or Liana's, and I'm going to send you that movie. And then I'm going to go home and take another winner, and you're going to get a movie off of our 2 lists as well. So this is what we're going to do. We got our top 10s. We're going to get to the last 2 things that we're going to do tonight, and then we're wrapped up. So Liana, let's just run them all. So let's do with the best actor first. So what we did was we looked at the best actors and actresses of the 2010s. Who did the best work in our separate and distinct opinions for the 2010s? So I think I said to you top 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so which ones do you want to do first? Your call. Actor or actress?
Let's go ahead and do actors first.
Actors first. Okay. Who do you
All
got?
right. You ready for my 3?
Just go
Went
ahead.
with Adam.
Give me your number 3 first.
Oh man, I don't even know if I rated them. Okay. Tom Hardy is on there.
Okay.
We've got some Michael B. Jordan. And then
Wait a
the
minute.
last-
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
She did tell me that, like, Michael B. Jordan is a really good looking man, right?
I
Tom
did, but
Hardy's
he's
a good looking. Tom Hardy's a good looking dude too.
is, but
I see where you're going.
beauty and talent are not mutually exclusive. It's fine.
I'll mess with you. Okay, go ahead. So, do you have them 2 and 3 like that? Tom Hardy.
I kind of just put them all. I don't know that I have them rated, but Tom Hardy, Michael B. Jordan, and Adam Driver. Because Adam Driver has been doing phenomenal.
So you don't have a number 1? If you had to pick.
Oh,
Come on,
shoot,
teacher.
man.
There's no A, B, C.
I
What's the
don't know.
answer?
Okay, so I'm in the humanities. I'm in English. We don't have
Yeah.
ridiculous. I might go with Adam Driver just because he has come out of nowhere and he's giving some really powerful performances.
Okay, so I will say it. I'm a little partial. Not that I don't like the other guys too, by the way, I do. But I'm a little partial to Adam Driver because he is a vet. He is a Marine, and I
Yeah.
got nothing but love for a veteran that lives in that world. Because you have to restructure your thought process to live in this other. And let's face it, this isn't the old days in the 40s and 50s and 60s where the A-list actors were almost always World War II or Korean War vets. There are not a lot of veterans that are A-list actors anymore. So let's just say I'm pulling for the young blood. I'm pulling
Yeah.
for him. I love the fact that he's expanding who he is as an actor and not shying away from really pressing his boundaries. And I think, did he get nominated for an Academy Award or no? Not for Marriage Story? He did for a Golden Globe, though. Okay, so for Golden Globes, he did get nominated for Best Actor, I believe. So he's there. And I know that, no, take that back. I do know that because Joaquin Phoenix, who won the Golden Globe, acknowledged Adam Driver and basically said, you're coming up, and I see you.
Yeah.
Because he is. So,
He's nominated. Jonathan Pierce, Adam Driver, Antonio Banderas, Joaquin Phoenix, and Leonardo DiCaprio.
okay, so he is on there. Okay. I do think yours is a very good forecasting of what's coming because every one of those is still, I'll say, relatively young. I'm not relatively young anymore, but they're relatively young enough to still be doing, a really big body of work for another 10, 15, 20 years. In other words, the 2020s can be big for all 3 of your guys because of where they're at. So, okay, I'm going to give you my actors, and mine are not going to be, they're different. They're all 3 different. But I'm good with those 3. So my 3 actors for the 2010s, and here's the thing, it's more definitely a look back as compared to going forward, even though they're not ancient. They can still do great work, and I think they will. So I'll go in order. My 3 were Christian Bale. All right, and I've already said. I think the guy is like phenomenal in his ridiculous attention to detail and commitment to a role. He's already becoming legendary for his immersion into whatever role he chooses. So for my fans, viewers, Ford versus Ferrari, which is right now, The Dark Knight, and I've already said earlier that I really do believe he fundamentally changed the superhero movie in how he conducted himself as an actor. It was dramatic acting. Oh yeah, and I'm a superhero. Vice, which came out, I think, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, where he plays Dick Cheney. American Hustle, great movie. And if you watch two movies, and you want to watch two damn crazy good movies with Christian Bale, American Psycho and The Machinist, Machinist, The Machinist, you will see the craft of acting from a guy. And those two movies are a while ago, by the way. But this is a guy who's just there. Okay, so that's my number 3. Here's one that you guys might know. Might not know. I'm partial, as KP knows, to English, Shakespearean, classically trained actors and actresses. Tobias Menzies. KP, see if you could put a picture of that fool up, because nobody knows what he looks like. Tobias Menzies. Like, who the hell? The Crown, he was just in. Outlander, he was in. Game of Thrones, Casino Royale, The Night Manager. He's almost never the lead actor, but anything he's in, he makes better through his performance. And I first got to appreciate and notice him in the early 2000s when he played Brutus. And this is for you, Liana, to go back to what I said earlier. Brutus and Caesar have been done a gazillion times. Mm-hmm. He played Brutus like I've never seen anyone play Brutus, ever. Tobias Menzies. He's English, and he is a hell of an actor. And I look forward to when he starts getting cast as lead in whatever the hell he does. He may not. He's a good character actor, but the guy's phenomenal. I mean, that's him. There you go. I think that might be from Outlander. But It's Tobias Menzies. I have appreciation for those English actors. And my number 1, and it's kind of finishing up. If this were like 2015, I would have went with Christian Bale as my number 1. But over the course of 10 and finishing up on the back end, I went with Joaquin Phoenix.
It's a good choice.
What was
I'll give you that.
Joaquin Phoenix. And not just because, he's nominated for an Oscar right now, because he's been a damn good actor for a long, long time. And I think he's only getting better. I think he's that good. Okay, so your actresses. Go ahead. That's my number 1.
Okay, so I couldn't keep this down to 3. I had to do 4.
All right, go ahead.
But I've got Cate Blanchett in there. Classically trained British actress.
Okay.
Phenomenal, and I think she's underrated. Awkwafina, who was in The Farewell, which I was telling you about, right? She's just coming up out of nowhere, and I think she's doing a lot of good for keeping, bridging cultural gaps, I suppose. Renee Zellweger, she just won an award for her portrayal of Judy Garland in that film. And then Lupita Nyong'o from, from
okay.
Us, from Black Panther. She's, like I said, especially her performance in Us was just phenomenal.
Yeah, that one put me out. We just saw that recently. And she can carry a project. I mean, she's there. She's there.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
She's definitely there now. I'm with you on this. So give me your 3 again.
Cate Blanchett, Awkwafina, Renee Zellweger, and Lupita Nyong'o. But Cate Blanchett's my favorite, just hands down. She always turns in good work, and I think she's under.
Renee Zellweger, she's probably going to win for Judy. I mean, like Joaquin Phoenix. As a matter of fact, I think that's the only category, Best Actor and Actress, that are kind of like we kind of know. All the others are all over the place, but she's won.
So good.
Yeah, she's won. She won the SAG. She won the Golden Globes. She's won just about everything for lead actress in a role. So it's probably going to be her for for the best Oscar actress. And she's been good for a long time. She's been good for a long time. I mean, she's been doing the work. But she will always be, to me, Dorothy Boyd. Jerry Maguire. That's Dorothy Boyd right there. That's what she got her look. That's what she got her look. All right. Here are my 3 for the night. Number 3, best female actress of the 10s. So I'm gonna go back to the UK. My number 3, and nobody's gonna see this one coming. I like to throw a curve once in a while. Dame, you like that, KP? Dame Maggie Smith. Dame Maggie Smith. See if you could pull up one on her, because people won't know her. They won't know her either. So Dame Maggie Smith. If you don't know, now you know. That's what Hakeem Jeffries said. Minerva McGonagall. She's Minerva McGonagall in the Harry Potter series. That's what people know her from. That's where a lot of young people saw her initially. So she's Minerva McGonagall in the Harry Potter series. She's Granny in Downton Abbey. If you watch Downton Abbey, I did and I do. She was in Sister Act, Gosford Park. She was in the original Clash of the Titans. She's got a catalog of movies going back to like the 50s. Wrong one. The 50s or 60s. Maggie Smith. Maggie Smith. That's Dame Judi Dench. Oh, KP's throwing his own in there. He's throwing Judi Dench in there.
Really great.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, she's got a catalog a long time. And so for the record, the lady's 85 and she's still doing work. And let's hope she's doing it for another 20 years. She's a great lady. And she's just cool as hell. And she's a phenomenal actress. Okay, so my number 2, and kind of like the other situation, there she is, Minerva McGonagall. Okay, so if this were 2015, my number 2 would be my number 1. All right? And if this were if it's 2020, which it is now, then my number 1 is not the number 2. So number 2 for me is Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman. She got her start in The Professional a long time ago. Really cool movie. Leon the Professional. That was she was a little girl. Great role. She was Queen Amidala in Star Wars. Garden State, Annihilation, and then she won the Academy Award, I believe, in 2010 to start this decade. Is Black Swan. In Black Swan. So she started this decade on a high note, doing crazy good work. So Natalie Portman. And again, if this were 2015, I probably would have went with Natalie Portman. But over the 10 years, this actress that I've got as my number 1 is currently the highest paid actress in Hollywood and on the planet, made more money. She has also expanded her repertoire to be more than just a singular type of role. She does everything from action, kick-ass flicks, superhero movies, and she is currently nominated twice, I believe, for Marriage Story and Jojo Rabbit as supporting actress. My number 1 is Scarlett Johansson. I think she's closing up the decade as the best actress of the decade in awards, in money, in ubiquity, everything you can name, she's that. And I'll admit, I got a little bit of a crush on her. I think she's pretty damn cool. So here's the movies that I'm going to give you that you should check out to know more about her roles, because there are some that people don't know about. So Marriage Story, she's currently nominated for lead actress. That's out right now with Adam Driver, Liana's number 1 actor. Jojo Rabbit, she is the supporting actress. She plays the mother to Yo-Yo Betzler in Jojo Rabbit. She's in pretty much all the Avengers movies. So she made a lot of bank off of every Avengers movie as the Black Widow. And she's got the Black Widow coming out in a few weeks where she's going to be blockbuster and make a lot of money. So here's the ones you need to check out. The ones you know about: Lost in Translation. Lost in Translation with Bill Murray was an incredible movie. Lucy. Check out Lucy. That is a crazy good movie that you don't know about with her. Ghost in the Shell, based off comics and anime that she is badass in. And Under the Skin. Don't ask, I won't tell. Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson. It will freak you the hell out. It will freak you the hell out. She was incredible in that movie. And then for GP, general purposes, she was also in and been doing He's Just Not That Into You. I think that's the damn movie where she is with Bradley Cooper, and Bradley Cooper is cheating with her on Jennifer Connelly. I'm like, that dude is a G. That is a pig. He kept her in the closet while he was hooking up with Jennifer Connelly. So my point being is that Scarlett Johansson has done like every role you can possibly imagine and still expanding who she is. And I think she's badass. So those are my three. Those are your three. You've got a full body of work. I'm going to go home tonight and pick another winner for these two lists, and I'm going to send them to you courtesy of Supermax Nation. It's been a longer than normal night, but we had to get this done because it's a decades-long, decade in the making Supermax Nation cheap date night. It was all good. Any last words, Liana, before I got to let you go, because you probably got to go live a little bit.
No, it was great to be here. Thank you for conversing. This was really, really fun.
What is on your shirt? What does that say?
It's French for
I know.
liberated female.
Translate. Translate.
Liberated female, free woman.
A liberated female. There you go.
Yeah.
Femme libérée. I knew it was French.
Yeah.
I didn't want to screw up the translation. So you and I will definitely be doing, okay, so for the record, Leon and I are going to talk a little bit, and we're probably going to do an Oscar special, kind of, not exactly the same format, but we're going to talk about the movies that are coming and what will be up, and then our input, again, from different perspectives. Younger female, older guy, English literature instructor, writer, and just regular homeboy from the barrio. West Side. All of the above. So a little bit different, but always with the intent to give you a little more education, a little bit more knowledge on what it is that we're doing. So, Liana, normally when I sign off, always on the Friday especially, I let everybody know, this includes you, sounds like you're safe and sound and in your room, but it's like a safety briefing from when I was in the Army. I tell everybody to go live, go experience, go watch movies, go hang out with friends, but be careful, be mindful of the other, because it's not always you that might cause a problem or get into an accident. It might be somebody around you. So you must be aware of your surroundings and be mindful of things that are going on, so you're careful. But that's our safety briefing for tonight. I want to thank Liana personally for being here. We're going to look forward to more shows with her. I hope you guys enjoyed her time with us. She brings us a different perspective that I quite literally need as well. And I'm sure that it enlightened you to a few things maybe that you guys didn't know. But that's the show for tonight, Supermax Nation on a cheap date night. We will be back next Friday and maybe a few more shows in between. But definitely every Friday night, you guys know where we're at. So nothing but love for you. Go out and have some fun. Other than that, I got nothing but love for you. Cheap date night is out.